This week, some of Colorado's best lacrosse players will compete in the state championships.
And as exciting as the action on the field will be, there's another battle going on behind the scenes. Before we go forward, a refresher on the rules. You use a stick to carry, pass, and shoot the ball. It is a strictly non-contact sport that nevertheless often involves players being smacked hard on the skull.
So men cover themselves head to toe, gloves, elbow, shoulder pads, and most importantly, helmets. Women, however, are often only required to wear eye gear. This despite a study finding that women's lacrosse is the second most likely sport to see concussions.
And despite the risks, not all players are on board with taking more precautions.
Denver 7's Megan Lopez has their perspective and many, many more in tonight's 360.
There are important life lessons you can learn from playing a sport like lacrosse. Lessons about working as a team, self-control, and winning and losing with grace. On this field, one team requires the girls to wear helmets, the other doesn't, a touchy topic in this semi-contact sport. So let's go 360. Supporters believe the helmets are necessary to prevent injury. Opponents say that will change the nature of the game. Some leagues are taking matters into their own hands, while others are taking more of a wait-and-see approach. First, some context. In Colorado, there is no law requiring female lacrosse players to wear helmets, but boys do since theirs is a full contact sport. Instead,
these are what we're required to wear at the moment. They just go on like this.
The helmets are optional.
And the other protection that we have to wear is this mouth guard.
For athletic trainers,
there's a lot of knee injuries, but there's also a lot of concussive injuries.
A 2015 study shows that women's lacrosse is second only to football in concussion rates. Other studies put that number a little lower.
They're also, at the end of the day, playing with a cement ball. It's covered in rubber, but it's still hard.
So some states like Florida have changed the rules in recent years for women's lacrosse.
This is the girl stick, so the net is smaller and less deep than the boys.
Adeline Wall has been playing lacrosse since she was 8.
I think it's probably the hardest ball for any sport.
She's been hit
probably every season in the head.
And says she wants helmets to be required. The way she sees it,
I don't think it's worth risking a brain injury to make us look pretty while we're playing.
I've never actually worn a helmet because I avoid them.
Other players like Molly Ricker are adamantly opposed.
I don't agree with helmets just because I think overall they change a lot of the ways that people play the game.
Molly says she doesn't believe helmets would stop injury, and unless you're going to change the nature of women's lacrosse,
and the rules aren't made for helmets,
she wants the helmets to remain optional.
And I just don't want to deal with that.
It's on us as coaches, as parents, to make sure that it's safe.
Some Colorado leagues like Castle Rock are making the move toward helmets on their own.
I'm giving my girls just a little extra protection. And you know what? The parents love it.
The league director Ryan Parker believes.
So the game has evolved. Girls have gotten stronger. They've gotten faster.
And so should protective gear.
Does safety trump tradition, or does tradition trump safety? You tell me.
But the helmets are not cheap. A pair of goggles costs about $50, and helmets can be upwards of $150 if they're not bought in bulk, adding an additional cost burden on parents and teams. Other coaches are taking more of a wait-and-see approach.
I don't have a solid opinion yet. I think it's pretty new.
Justin Silverstein says women's lacrosse is actually safer than the statistics suggest.
I have actually seen less injuries than you would think.
And there are rules to keep it that way.
There really is an emphasis in this game to keep the stick away from players' heads generally.
He's worried about the unintended consequences.
When you start putting helmets on, people start doing things that are more dangerous, or in girls lacrosse start playing a little harder, maybe checking more towards the head.
So he's waiting for more evidence to prove that helmets help.
I think they'll take a little bit more time for folks to really get an understanding of if they are as safe as we want them to be.
Back on the lacrosse field, the helmet debate offers another valuable life lesson for players about how to have a respectful dialogue, even when you disagree with one another. Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
Well, it's a great conversation. So what do you think about all this? Email us your thoughts at 360@thedenverchannel.com.